Coach Spire, thank you for taking the time out for this interview. First of all, congratulations on making the playoff again this year. Your 10-0 team is ranked second in the state. Over the past 5 years, you're a combined 56-8. You came to a very average program and developed it into one of the elite programs in the entire Southeast. Your philosophy in building this program and maintaining it is such a consistent philosophy for winning. This year, coming in, you knew you had a lot of offensive talent. You're one of the best offenses in the entire state, averaging 35 points per game. Has there been any surprises this year in your team and how you've developed this team in offense?
Well, I don't know if it's a surprise, but probably the most rewarding thing that I think has led to consistent success is offensively we're really spreading the ball around. We've got 8 receivers with 12 or more catches. Wow. We've got 3 running backs that are over 400 or 500 yards, and then on top of that, CJ, our quarterback, is actually our leading rusher with, I think, right at 500 yards. So, you know, we really have spread the ball around. We really have gotten a lot out of every position, and we've rolled a lot of guys in and out. And so, you know, we're not one-dimensional, and we're not really, you know, one star, you know, carried. And so, you know, hopefully that'll make it, you know, difficult for teams to defend, you know, all those positions in the playoffs. So I don't know if that's necessarily been a surprise, but it's been one of the most pleasing things that I think has really helped our offense.
Well, you know, defensively you're very strong too. You're only giving up an average of 10 points per game, which is one of the best in the state. And you appear to have gotten stronger as the year has progressed. Did you expect your defense to perform so well?
Well, kind of like offensively, but even probably more so defensively, we had so many new starters. We just had a couple of starters back from last year's defense, and so you kind of go into the season with the schedule we were playing, not knowing for sure what you were going to get, and you were hoping that the challenges, even if maybe you had a setback or two, you learned a lot and got some, you know, great experience for some guys that were first-time starters. But you know, they played pretty well right out of the chute, and they've continued to play well. Got a great coaching staff on both sides of the ball, but defensively, Coach Mo Dixon, who's our defense coordinator, does just a tremendous job, not only organizing and planning, but you know, they're great teachers on that side, and they flat get after it. I mean, they play with some passion. And, you know, defensively, our guys run and hit, and you know, I think they may play actually better than what they are. I hope nobody really tells them that. You know, but you know, and it's high school football, so much of it's effort based.
Absolutely.
And our guys really, you know, defensively especially, they've really played hard this year.
They hustle. North Gwinnett is such a great school, and the athletic program is so strong overall. Is there any pressure on you or that you put on yourself when there's such great expectations of you and your program?
Well, I'd like to think all the coaches here, and primarily the administration, have really raised the bar from the time we came here, and you know, hopefully we've just been a part of that process. And you know, you always put pressure on yourself first and pretty much try to tune out whatever's outside around you, because a lot of times that pressure is more individually oriented as opposed to, you know, team oriented. So, you know, we've got goals, we've got aspirations for the program. We tried to set a stage when we first got here of putting them, you know, in positions where the players really had to play to the best of their ability in order to be able to perform, and make it as difficult on them as possible from a scheduling standpoint. Hope that would bring them along, and I think the whole school, you know, takes that approach academically, athletically, and you know, it's just all part of the process, and it's all part of the culture.
Yeah.
Here, you know.
Yeah. Well, your first round opponent is of course Lassiter, which just by chance is the team that you faced in your very first game of the season, and where you won 34-14. You obviously know a lot about the Trojans as you watch them on film. Have they changed at all this season? Is your approach going to be any different this season?
No. I mean, they've got a system they believe in that they teach, and we even played them in the playoffs a couple years ago when Chip was the head coach, and you know, obviously they run the Tony Franklin stuff offensively, and which Tony and I work together. So you know, I'm very, very familiar, obviously, with that system. Being a spread guy myself, though we've kind of got our own flavor to it, but the experiences of working with Tony, you know, it all ties together, and you know, and then defensively they've got a system that still, you go back for our playoff team a couple years ago, it's still pretty much intact, and you know, they're just trying to take those systems and get their kids to play to the best of their ability. And Do I expect a surprise or two first round? You know, they're, quote, the underdog. Do I expect them to, you know, have something up their sleeve? Probably so. I mean, just like we went to Peachtree Ridge last week, you know, you expected them. They were in a desperate situation. You know, they threw the flea flicker, they kicked it onside. You know, teams in that situation and being a 4 seed in Laster, you know, they're going to probably take a couple of shots like that. So you got to be prepared for that.
Absolutely. You know, they have a very young team coming into this year, and they have a lot of talent. Their young quarterback, Prince, is expected to develop into one of the better quarterbacks in the state down the road. Does it pose any more difficult problem playing a team the second time in the season? Is it harder to beat them the second time? You've kind of alluded to that in the last question.
Well, you got to realize that he's a sophomore, so the first time we played him was his first game. You know, so and you know, their star running back is a sophomore also. So, you know, they've got 10 games under the belt now. You expect them to improve through that experience. You know, they're in a system which really highlights those kind of guys and gives those guys a chance to make plays. So they're a dangerous football team. We don't have any illusions about that. I kind of come from a system in Kentucky, or a setup in Kentucky, where the way the playoffs work there, you typically had repeat games your first couple of rounds. They kind of played within their area before they advanced. So I'm kind of used to this, where you played somebody in the regular season, played them in the playoffs. So, you know, you look at this game when you break it down and you prepare with your kids in the scouting report, etc. You really don't look at it as if you've ever played them before. You know, yeah, you've got some of those experiences to pull from, but it's a new game, it's a new preparation. You know, we've got all the videos, you know, from that first game to break down. So, you know, we just take it and look at it as if, you know, it's a first-round playoff game, whether we played them before or not.
You know, I know you're an intense coach, and the intensity trickles down to your players as well. Playing with such intensity, how is your team? Is your team emotionally okay? Are they physically okay? Your team's doing pretty good?
We don't misinterpret what you may see game time. We have a lot of fun. We got a great group of kids, and you know, we really get to know them well. We do a lot with them in the off season and in the summer, so you know, we really kind of get to know them. They get to know us. We have a blast together. You know, we've got a plan. We've got an agenda. We're pretty consistent with how we approach every week and how we approach really the year-round calendar for 12 months. And you know, the last team I had that didn't win at least 10 games was all the way back to 1997. That team went 9-4. So I think the plan is in place to give these kids a chance to be successful. And they understand the regimen. They understand the routine. But, you know, and I think because of that, there's a comfort level. We can have fun. We can have a good time. And, you know, I think you can really focus and play hard, play with a lot of intensity on game day if you're really well prepared. And so hopefully that's what you see. And you know, we want our kids to have a chance to win, so we want to give them our all too as coaches. So, but we have a great time together.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. You've done a very incredible job here, and continue. I wish you all the best of luck in your game this Friday.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.